Hi, this is Charlene O'Hanlon, Managing Editor at DevOps.com, and I'm at DevOps World Jenkins World 2018 San Francisco. Having a great time at this year's show. On my left is Mike Maheu, who is the Vice President of Engineering and Strategy at GoTo Group, a service provider, correct?
That's
IT
right.
service provider? Great, so you're kind of coming from this show from a little different perspective than a lot of the vendors and the sponsors. So I'd like to hear, first of all, I'd like to hear just a little bit about your company, some of the services you guys provide, and then I'd love to get your perspective on some of the conversations you're having at the show, what people are talking about.
Sure. So GoTo Group, we've been in business for about 13 years. We started out in the source control management and branching strategy area, and then we partnered with Atlassian about 11 years ago, and we basically help medium to large companies develop software better through best practices and tooling. So we strategically partner with CloudBees and other companies so we can be experts around the tooling. But again, we basically help companies improve on their not just development, but their agile, their requirements pipelines, basically anywhere from requirements all the way to delivery, which these days is why we're here talking about DevOps.
So are you actually like in the trenches with these guys, or are you working as more of a consultant type?
We actually do get in the trenches. So we normally what happens is we come in and we do some analysis and some assessment to see where they're at, what kind of, a lot of companies, larger companies get fragmented with their tooling. So we come up with a strategy around that first and look at how they're, Agile's been around a while, so a lot of companies, they can do Agile and they're good at it, so they have a cadence. The problem they're having these days is that they can't really deliver. They can iterate and they can sprint, but they can't deliver their code as fast as they can iterate and sprint. So now we're tightly coupling, obviously, the DevOps aspect of it, the delivery part of it, with the rest of the software development lifecycle.
So when you're talking with these clients and having the conversations, what do you think is, or what have you, in your experience, what have been kind of the biggest impediments for them in moving quickly and doing the sprints and?
I think it kind of goes top down. So a lot of times there's not a lot of buy-in from the corporate perspective. So a lot of these tools, they come up from the bottom, and then they end up with some, like I said, some fragmentation with the tooling. But you do have to have that process that couples, like I said, with the actual tooling and what they're trying to do. So, larger companies, they have multiple software projects and products and lots of different teams. So the higher level folks, they want to see, they across the landscape, and they want to make sure that they're on track to deliver the changes to their applications. But the voice is kind of raised up to the top because they were like struggling with delivering software when we look at the old school way of, here's our application, please deploy it to some environment. So there's a lot of discussion these days that I'm having around the newer technologies like containerization with Docker and Kubernetes and Jenkins core and tying things in the cloud. A lot of companies are asking us also to take them from on-prem tooling to cloud tooling. So.
Okay, all right, great. So a lot more conversation then around shifting up to the cloud and having are most of them looking to have the majority of their applications and their development work in the cloud, or is it still kind of an on-prem mindset?
Obviously, not long ago, larger companies, government and financial, they were kind of scared of the cloud, right? So I think it started, the first step was when folks started to get on Git as their source control management platform. And GitHub obviously became a thing, and Atlassian has Bitbucket. So a lot of large companies actually started to host their code outside of their fortress. And now it's becoming, I think, I look at it like the first thing that a large company is probably going to agree to put on the cloud is their dev tools, right? It's kind of low risk, and it's probably the best bang for their buck to get speed of delivery, and especially when we start talking about containerization and the power of the cloud to deliver at scale. It's a very powerful thing. So
Great. So as coming to the show from kind of a little different point of view, what are some of the things that you're seeing as kind of the highlights of the show?
So I did a lightning talk about Jenkins X. I'm very excited about the open source framework that CloudBees came out with, which is kind of a Sandals resort of DevOps in the cloud, where you can spin it up in Google. And
I like that.
So that technology, as I expected, is making it into their CloudBees core product. So that's exciting, and I think a lot of the conversations I'm having here are more about Kubernetes and containerization and speed delivery with precision, and how do we do that. So I did a lightning talk about it today, and I had a lot of questions about how can we do our application like that. How can we configure our applications to be, to where we can do CI/CD with containers? So that's a lot of the discussion I'm having.
Interesting. All right, good. Well, it's good to know that containers are a thing now.
Oh yeah,
are a real thing. All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me today.
Sure. Thank you.
So.